AXIS, yeah, Access
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome
Feel free
to
to email
our
me,
very
too, and I can
first
send you
Coffee with Mr. G.
But they
And
have
so we've got
teenager and
a lot of roomers,
you can
and we got a lot of
ask for
Zoomers. So we're streaming online for people that work in cubicles and don't have to maybe worry about the boss looking over their shoulder. But if you're out there watching this via streaming, thank you for tuning in. Good turnout here today. We appreciate it. And the idea of the coffees are to talk about basic information, sometimes insights. I like that each time we whatever topic we end up covering, and today's kind of a miscellaneous, kind of a group, a mixed bag of things, information, insights. I always like to share some things here where you say, we heard it first at the coffee. Because then it's kind of an incentive that, there's things you hear here maybe that you wouldn't hear normally. Each month, we do about 3 in the fall, 2 or 3 in the spring, and we try to pick topics that are helpful to parents to maybe understand a little bit more about our school, from the inner workings, especially from curriculum selection to accreditation to testing, all kinds of aspects of our programs. And there's always, it goes 1 hour. And there's always a Q&A session afterwards. And we would really be interested, whether you're online, maybe you could put into the comment section, if there's a topic you'd like us to cover and discuss, we can include that in future coffees, okay? So we want it to be something that is important to you and a felt needs. And so today we called it Information, Insights, and we threw in inspiration. We hope there's some inspirational points along the way, so we'll go with that. So, anyway, let me open us in a word of prayer. Lord, I'm grateful for the partnership. Just talking with a mom this morning, and we talked about the importance of a good school, good homes, and church support, that three-legged stool that really supports the village of raising a kid. And so we thank you for them entrusting their kids to us, and that the partnership, especially as we kick off a new year, will continue to grow, strengthen, and be reinforced, Lord, through our common goal to raise these kids for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, so hopefully, I don't know if you saw, there's goodies back there. Help yourself. Restrooms are behind the hallway there. If you need the restroom, fine. There's a couple goodies, a little pen with our school logo, 60th anniversary. Our school started back in 1964, and so we'll be talking a little bit more about our anniversary. So pretty good milestone, and it's cool that I've been here 36 years of the 60. And what's really cool is that we're seeing second-generation families enrolling their kids. And so what's really kind of funny, too, though, sometimes I had a mom will come in, and she's got kids, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, you look just like your mom when she was dropping you off at middle school. It's kind of uncanny resemblance things. And then we hired staff, and so that's one of the joys and the privileges of being in a place so long. We'll talk to you more about our 60th anniversary celebration coming up in November in just a little bit. So start of school, the plaza area. I hope you enjoy the upgrades there, the umbrellas, the AstroTurf. Just seems like it's been a nice, instead of that rock pit. Now, some of you are veterans. You've been here for a while. It was just basically a circular seat wall, and inside was a bunch of just rocks. And so we just kind of upgraded that. That was a church and school kind of collaboration. The church meets in the auditorium here. And so it was that rock pit. Some people affectionately called it a rock garden. But the only thing growing in there was weeds and that kind of thing. So that's been nice. The car line's working much better. I think last Friday, not this past Friday, a Friday ago, was the worst day ever because we had some classes got out there late. 3 of the 4 classes got out there 10 minutes late. And that just is brutal. It's already difficult. Appreciate your patience out there. But the car line's moving pretty smoothly. And we tell our teachers, you can be early, but you can't be late. And so that was just one of those perfect storm kind of Fridays. And so if you are remembering that day, that's not maybe the best recollection of how it's going. But Fridays is our biggest challenge because the preschool gets out. The half-day preschool gets out at half-day also. So we've got now our regular car line plus another 75 families coming through the lot. We encourage them to come at 12:15. after most of the K-3, even fourth, fifth grade car line is completed. And then they could have the area over there in the main driveway, and then the junior highs pick up. So it's been going pretty good, but it's still, I think each day it's getting better and better. So thank you for your patience there. Some of the things, if you're new here, we just thought we'd give you an overview of some of the things that are happening. You may see it on the calendar, or it might be good for you to know whether you've got a kindergartner or a junior high. So some of these announcements, this information may not apply to you, but it's good for you, I think, to know. And so one of them is in the area of junior high sports. That helped the car line because when they started, the teams, there's 2 girls volleyball teams, boys flag football, so that meant less cars coming through the car line because they were going to practice and those kinds of things. But so that's flag football, volleyball, and then in the winter we have basketball, girls and boys basketball. This is middle school, and we play other schools in our league, about 12 schools total. And then in the spring, it's 2 soccer teams. They're co-ed with our league. And then also we have boys volleyball at that time. And then we have esports. And esports and coding and a robotics team. So those happen, I think the coding and robotics happen this trimester. And then the esports happen next trimester. And so you may be thinking, what is esports? It's exactly what it sounds like. Kids playing video games against other kids across the country. And there's a lot more to it. We might talk more about it sometime. A lot more to those teams than you may realize. And and our teams do very well in those areas. But I want Ms. Wilson to come up. And Ms. Wilson's our vice principal of student activities. And so I want you to talk a little about intramurals and even anything related to some of those activities.
Yeah, well, intramurals kind of launched about 2 years ago, and it's been really exciting. Basically, what intramurals means to us, we call them like lunch tournaments, and our slogan for that is the kids eat, obviously, their lunch, and compete. So that's kind of a slogan we have, eat and compete. And we offer that for 4th through 8th grade. And the reason why we come down to 4th is because now they're on that side, and they're also have some experience in sports, a lot of them, or maybe they don't, and they want to be a part of getting that experience before they move into junior high. And they've been so much fun on our playground in the back parking lot. The kids, create teams together, and Coach Mack, our athletic director, comes alongside them and helps create rosters for them. But then also they're learning sportsmanship, how to, have teamwork. This fall, we're actually going to launch pretty soon the first intramural tournaments, and they're going to do a lightning tournament, which is like a basketball game, and then also hockey, which a lot of girls and boys love, creating a team and working together to play hockey. But you'll see them come home and talk about it. They have goggle ball tournaments. They'll do some football out there. They'll do pickleball, which ends up being a really exciting sport for them, so much so you also might hear it around December for like a Christmas gift, because they come home saying, I need a pickleball paddle that I can bring to school. You don't need to. We have all those resources available to them, but it is pretty exciting when they're home talking to their friends about what football play they're going to do the next day, or what they're going to do for pickleball. So it's pretty exciting. They can earn fun t-shirts that they can wear on Fridays for that, and prizes and trophies, and so it's a lot of fun. But also, if you want to come out to any of our sports games for junior high, we typically have those after school, and we would love to have you support the Falcons. So, yeah.
Yeah. And earlier at the back to school nights, we had the little QR code readers where you could sign up and to Stanza, and a couple of the calendars where you get information, notifications.
Yeah, and if you are a junior high parent and your child plays sports, a big communication tool that we use is called Game Changer, which is an app where you directly have access to all the games, and if they change in real time, you get updates. You can communicate to the coach that way. But I really encourage every parent to subscribe to our Stanza calendar. If you haven't already, we do have some of those QR codes in the front office if you'd like. So feel free to come by there and make sure you subscribe, because it will get directly into your calendar. You know when the spirit days are, the events are, holidays, early out days, teacher in-service days. So I just really highly recommend that for all parents. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stay here real quick. But let's get a feel of who's here today. So if you're TK to second grade, raise your hand.
Okay, big group.
Okay, great. And third through fifth, okay. Middle school. Okay,
Awesome.
fairly evenly divided. And if you've been here 2 years or less, raise your hand. Okay, all right, good. And 5 years or so, 3 to 5. Okay, more than that? All right, nice. I'm with you on that one. So, yeah, good. It's get a good feel for the room. Okay. So I want to talk about electives, and so that the families know what happens in junior high, because most of the classes in elementary are self-contained. It's a first grade classroom, it's a third grade classroom, and then they go to enrichment classes, library, PE, music, and starting in third grade, the kids have to pick a music track. They can go regular music or they could go orchestra. We really want to find a band teacher. If you have anybody that's interested, we've been looking for a band since COVID, actually. So we know someone's out there. We think that's a niche for some of our students. Okay, so a strong in the arts that way. But in the middle school, it's a little different. And so what I would like you to talk about, and I'll mention some things, but talk about the new digital art animation class.
Yeah. So in junior high, we just launched a new elective. It's always fun to have new choices for the kids that they can get excited about. And over the years, we've implemented so many great ones that they really love. But one we're very excited about that just launched this trimester is called Digital Art and Animation, and the teacher is Miss McCune, and she actually has a Bachelor of Fine Arts in specializing in animation and character design, which, you know, when you see her work, even on the first day when she came to her kids and showed some of her portfolio, I mean, they were engaged and in awe of just her experience, her talent. I'm telling you, she could probably work for Disney, but I don't want to say that too loud because we want to hang on to her as much as we can. But Miss McCune already has done a fantastic job with our students. They're excited to come to class. And they'll get experience with learning how to make characters, you know, through a digital, a device, and then how to move those characters and how to get them to interact and things you wouldn't even think of. Miss McCune is showing them really neat things, even like freelance, what that means, and how do you become a freelance artist, which to this generation, you know, there's jobs out there that aren't even created yet that this generation will create, and part of that might be a freelance artist. And we were inspired by, I actually watched a Frozen documentary behind the scenes on Disney Plus. I don't know if any of you saw that, but the animation world and the growth mindset that they're learning and how to take feedback well, you realize that, man, this is like a really neat industry, and it was pretty mind-blowing. But how cool we get to have that opportunity for our students to learn about those things. They're gonna have feedback with each other. They're gonna have to have a growth mindset through art. And so it's already been really fun. I'm really excited to see where it goes. We are gonna offer it again next trimester, 2 for 2 periods. So as your kids are getting older, or if they are in junior high, maybe they can look out for that one, because I highly recommend it. We're excited for that.
The cool thing about that, we're right in Disney's backyard, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So we've been wanting to have this, and then we really didn't count the cost, because they need separate iPads with the pencils and other software things. Oh, okay, got to do that. And then the demand, the interest from the junior high students and families was so great that we realized, okay, one period, and we knew this was coming. One period was not going to be enough. So while we just have one period this trimester to get us started, the second trimester we'll have 2 classes. So that's another set of, while the junior high students have a 1-to-1 iPad program, we needed the highest powered iPads and the various things to facilitate the animation class. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you for that. But some of the classes, and thank you, Ms. Wilson. Some of the classes, just so you know, I mean, orchestra, PE, study hall, we have an app design class at the middle school. So Mrs. Heminger, our computer teacher, teaches that. And so the kids learn how to create apps. And about years ago, we had a student create an app, and it was a baseball app, and he was offered $100,000 for the app. He turned it down. I think that was a mistake because I've never seen this thing out anywhere, but it's pretty cool. The kids are creating real things that are of their interest, and so that's the app class. There's a math helps class, art, and then of course our theater class, and so that's 7th period, and there's a few more in there, and then 8th period. In addition to the ones I just mentioned, drumline, coding and robotics, power tools for English, and some of those others. So we're at Foothill, we're big enough, we can offer a lot, but we're small enough that's still like family. And so those elective classes, the kids pass from class to class, 6 core subjects, of which Spanish is a core subject starting in 7th grade. And then they have 2 elective periods, and those are rounded out with a nice menu of options for the kids to help identify their interests and their passions and strengths and kind of nurture that along. You probably heard we have a new librarian, Julie Quintana, is our new librarian. She's very excited about being there. So the kids are starting to go through the classes or through the library as part of the enrichment rotation. They'll start checking out books and then kind of get that going. So. And Julie will be interested in opening. She will be opening the library up before and after school. Watch for that. We want to get school started, let her get settled in, and then we'll start opening up. So watch for announcements on the library being open. So you can go up there before school starts. Your child can take an accelerated reader, an AR test. We'll talk about that in a minute. And or check out books, return books. And so she usually has coffee set up there. And so you'll be welcome to come at those times. And she will also at some point be looking for some volunteers to help out. And so that might be a good niche for some of you that might be interested in helping out a couple times. She wanted to see what her needs were first, and then she would figure out where she needed help. So keep that in mind, and that's happening. Campus security, you've met Officer Bob. In fact, there's Officer Bob, got his eye on us back there. Thank you. Yeah. So we've already had a couple of small incidents, but it's just so reassuring to have him on campus. And when there's kids out on the playground, on the plaza, he's right there keeping an eye on things. And so you saw my email yesterday, okay, about down the way, across the wash. So Bob saw that and got into action, and everything worked out fine there. We've been talking about coded entries to our gates. So the team that we contracted with, the contractors came and they started running wires on Friday afternoon. They got more, it's half day, so they can make more inroads. They'll do some more work this Friday afternoon, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, they'll be finishing up. Now, once we get those keypads and fob coded type entries, we're sitting down, we're looking at, okay, what's the protocols, procedures, what do we program it for, how much access do parents have access to certain parts of the building at a certain time and entry gates at other times, so we're figuring all that out. But at this point, families will get a code, and that will be a family code initially, just for simplicity purposes, so you'll get that code, and then you can use that to get inside the gates especially once the school's closed down for the day, and even the office will stay locked, but you can use your code to get in. So that's happening like kind of as we speak. I wasn't going to spend a whole lot of time because we've been talking about it, we've been communicating it, but I wanted to see if there are any questions related to campus security and any initiatives that we're taking in that direction. Yeah, I know. Doesn't it feel good to have that assurance that we have? Pardon me?
You guys are doing a really good job of feeling secure and comfort.
Thank you. Thank you. There's other measures. Many of you know this, so I don't want to repeat things, but new families don't. What we have, like at a door like this, in every classroom door, the locks to the doors handles in the classrooms are in the hallway side. This was true of Sandy Hook. And when they had an active shooter at Sandy Hook, the teachers had to go out into the hallway, find their keys, fumble with them under duress, potentially in harm's way in the hallway to lock down. And so that's how our doors are. So what we found was there's a device. It's a little $5 metal piece, striker, that keeps the door slightly ajar. So the teachers now in the classrooms, that door right there, it remains locked. But so that, and then that striker though keeps the door from closing completely. It doesn't latch or catch. So the kids come, if they jiggle oh, it's locked, no, pull on it, you can open it. And they've learned that. But in a campus intruder, an active shooter scenario, all the teachers have to do is push that lever down, it cinches closed, it's now locked, and every classroom has a pull down shade where they can pull it down and get it out of hindsight. Everybody at Sandy Hook who got into lockdown was safe. And so no one thing protects us, right, completely, but we have a lot of things like that in place. It's one more barrier, one more obstacle, one more deterrence to delay a shooter until police can get here. Yeah. And what's really cool about Bob and the security is they're well connected with the police departments and that whole security world, and things will spring into action quickly. We got a new phone system that was installed, and that gives us greater detail in communicating lockdowns or potentially unsafe situations as well. So that's one. I just thought I'd mention that because we've done a lot of things, but I think having the security guard was probably the most reassuring or comforting thing. Okay, and not everybody's crazy about that idea, but for me, if we didn't and something were to happen, God forbid, I don't think I could live with the weight of regret, not having done everything we could. And one thing, and I've had a couple conversations with some parents who are a little concerned about it, right? But I said, because what are the odds of us really having a shooter? I go, well, I know it's rare, and that's a good thing. I'm glad it's rare. At the same token, you ask anybody, any family, any teacher or educator associated with Sandy Hook or Valde or any of those, the one thing they will all say is, we never thought it would happen here. That's the one common denominator. Yeah, Patty.
I'm just curious to know if you guys are planning on eventually rolling out, just like we have earthquake drills,
Yeah.
fire drills, and so on. Are you planning on doing active shooter drills where you actually tell the kids this is an active shooter drill, this is not just a fire drill?
Yeah.
But in case there's an active shooter, we treat it differently, and this is what we do.
Yeah, thanks. That's a little sensitive. We do earthquake drills, and in October it's the great California shakeout. We'll do it. You'll hear about that. We'll go through our protocols and procedures. We're in the process of really developing a strong campus intruder response team and incident command central, and people on the earthquake committees like communication or search and rescue, whatever, they'll have similar responsibilities for an incident response teams. And we did an active shooter training with staff with the ALICE training. If you're familiar with ALICE, it's an acronym for different things, alert, lockdown, different things. And a lot of school districts use that across the country. We did that, and we did the refresher courses 3 years in a row. This is the 4th year now. But the one thing, and so we want to do another staff, I know you were asking about kids, but staff training with local PD. Bob's going to help us organize it, and his security team is going to help us do an active shooter training for staff. And then it also prepares the Glendora PD to familiarize themselves with our campus, right? And so they'll know when we say there's something happening in the gym, they know where the gym is. Something in the music room, they know where the music room is. So they'll be familiar with us. So I think that's the next step for us. But what we have to figure out is how far do we go with the kids? What's age appropriate and those kinds of things. We do have evacuation. Our main evacuation relocation spot is the Grand Avenue campus. The church has a campus over on Grand Avenue across from the old sports chalet, just less than a half a mile away. We will all relocate there because if there's chaos, if there's thing and people are evacuating, we have a couple exits that we can get off campus. Of course, the front, but you don't know where the intruder will be or what's happening there. But the idea will we relocate over to Grand. In talking with Glendora PD, they said that sounds like a good plan, but they will take over and tell us where we're going. It could be Citrus College. They could relocate it, and then we have a communication. But we do have texting, and we have phone messaging, and we have ways to keep you posted on what's happening and how that unification would happen. But just so you know, generally speaking, if junior highs had to go somewhere or teachers had to evacuate, they would make their way to Grand Avenue as Plan A. And it's very likely if there's something was, I'm going to say chaos, but in the fog of everything happening quickly and decisions having to be made, I could see people being there and making their way there, and the police taking our students elsewhere. So the communication becomes the most important thing. So I don't know yet what we'll do. We'll probably look to the experts about what's age appropriate. You know, we stopped worrying about calling things stranger danger, because what does that mean? You know, and that's a good word for kindergarten or first grader. But when we need to be in lockdown, we need to say lockdown so everybody knows. You know, sometimes we have modified lockdowns. And what that means is there may be trouble in the neighborhood somewhere, down the corner of Grand Avenue a couple years ago, maybe it was last year. There was some action down there. And so we got the kids off the playground. Nobody was outside, but we weren't all completely locked down and huddled in a corner. It wasn't on our campus. We were very close contact with the police department. If something were to spill over on our, boom, we're already in preparation for that lockdown. So there's a lot of good protocols and practices, and I know you got training in this background, so we can continue some talks about that. I do feel we need to do something. I just got to figure out what's age appropriate and when we do that. So, yeah, stay tuned. You had a question?
Yeah, so what is the protocol if the kids are out and about in the playground? Because I've heard about when they're in their classroom, and it's, I guess, presumably easier to contain, but if
Yeah.
they're out, or even worse, during pickup, there's parents,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Yeah, you know, and one thing I know is that I could come up with scenarios where nobody gets out safe. You know, that's a kind of would be the most confusing. Our plan is to go into lockdown, right? We wouldn't try to evacuate from there, evacuate campus from the playground, but the goal would be get back into the classrooms and lock down.
I guess, sorry, just as a follow-up, because their teachers are not actually at the playground with them during lunch, so I guess who will be in charge of those children, knowing this is your class and you're directed back to your classroom? Like, who will do that?
Yeah, we do have certain drills where we've done like fire drills and different things, earthquake drill in odd times of the day. That's one where the child care would the teachers would come out, get the kids, and then we'd have all hands on deck to get them safe. Yeah. So anyway, a lot of details, a lot of scenario thoughts, but I wanted you to be aware of where we were. Security guard, keypadded entrances. So I would say just stay tuned. We'll probably send something home, instruction sheet with some basic guidelines on the keypad entries. Okay. With picture day, went pretty smooth for us. But I am curious for how it went. We had a new company, kind of new format. Everything was online. So what was your experience? Positive, negative? Yeah.
Very easy.
Was easy for you?
Everyone's used to their, online, and when you're there, you pick what you want, the background, everything. I thought it was very simple.
Yeah.
Instead of sending the
That's one of the reasons we moved off the other company. They had nothing digital, and we felt like, and we wait 3 or 4 weeks, and then we get a print. You had to order packages. Everything was envelopes. There was a lot of challenges with that old school approach. So this is nice. I think last Friday or so, you should have gotten from Ultimate Exposures. You should have got that email, and then you have to pick the pose and the background. And the pose you select we'll use for the yearbook, but we've got a standard background template we'll use for that. So. Kind of thing. Makeup day is October 5th. So if you didn't like your pose, you can redo it on the 5th. That's a Thursday. Coming up next week, our 5th graders go to Catalina Island Marine Institute. Yep, they're going to go on a boat, go over there, do some oceanography courses, some snorkeling, some squid dissections, and some plankton under the microscope. They'll do some. They'll pull up some water and soil samples from the bottom of the ocean, and then they'll look at that. So it's a great camp. And then down the road, 4th graders go to Rawhide Ranch, 6th graders to Alpine Outdoor Education, Mountain Education, and 7th graders go to Palomar. So those are some things that happen. Those prices are included in the tuition. So just know if you're in those grades, they're coming, but 5th grades is first up. And then our talent show is October 17th. I think tryouts and everything have been announced. I like to call it, pardon me? The 12th. I said, oh, I got the 12th. Yeah, thank you. My 2 looks like a 7. October 12th. You'll get a lot of information on it. Jen Robinson, tryouts, when does that happen? Has the information gone out?
They're already out, like if they're online, everybody probably doesn't know. They're already filling up.
Okay.
It's just, once you do it, don't wait till the deadline. Just
Yeah.
first day we had like 8 signups.
Yeah. Okay. So signups are now if your kids want to be in that talent show. In October, it's a fun night. It's Foothills Got Talent kind of a night, and it's a lot of fun. All right. So that's kind of the information part. So I'd like to go to insights. Last spring, our organization, church, school, preschool, went through a series of surveys and kind of a deep dive into culture and employee engagement. That is a service provided by the Best Christian Workplace organization. They've probably got the largest database on Christian organizations in the world. They have a global footprint, thousands of schools and churches with schools globally, 25,000, I think, school employees around, mostly U.S., but around the world. And so they measure engagement, they measure attitudes toward work, and a lot of different categories, finding purpose in their work, being fulfilled in their work, feeling like the organization has people who are good at what they do, teamwork, and all those kinds of things that HR people love. So we went through it the first time. We'd heard about it. We did the survey in May, not the best time to do the survey because everybody's kind of tired and this and that. And we put one more thing on them, the teachers and everyone. Anyway, bottom line is we reached the level at which we got the designation, the certification as a best Christian workplace. And so the people who shared the data with us said it's really unheard of. Most people do not get it because the bar is really high. And most organizations don't get it the first time. But they work on things and they redo the surveys and they keep trying to improve. Now, there's some things it says and some things it doesn't say. It doesn't mean that we got it all together, okay? It doesn't mean we're the perfect place to work. But it does mean people are fulfilled here, are engaged, are happy generally, and that good things are happening. And now we got the top 10 things that would characterize the strengths of our organization, and then the bottom 10, which will be areas we'll target for improvement. And we'll be having discussion groups with their consultants, with faculty, with childcare, with different ones. Again, just saying how we can be a better place. Because ministry just doesn't happen in the community. It happens in our own house first. And then we're in a better position to serve the community. So I share it because you might see some emblems and some logos around. We're very proud of it. And so I wanted you to be aware of that. So a lot of people don't even do it because they don't want to face reality. It's like what they might get. All right. Okay. Also, under insights, this month, what's been happening so far and what's coming up is we assess all the students, especially in the elementary grades, we assess their reading, okay? So the teachers and some of our intervention specialists of our student success team, SST, Joy Bernal is our SST coordinator. So they help the teachers with classroom assessments, and then the kids will go up, I think they'll be going up this week, and they'll be taking their accelerated reader assessments. And we have Ms. Thompson, she's in charge, a vice principal in charge of curriculum instruction, talk to us about accelerated reader and what that means to the families.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. How many think reading is important? Yeah, it's kind of the cornerstone of all of our learning, right? So Accelerated Reader is a good program. It helps encourage students to read. It develops their independent reading skills so that they're not just reading during instructional reading, but they're also reading independently. And it also helps us to monitor their progress and their growth through the Accelerated Reader apps. So it's kind of student driven. The kids get to decide what they want to read. And they, like Mr. G said, they take a test, and then they're assigned a color, and that color is a reading level, a Lexile level. So once they know their color, Ms. Bernal helps with this, they go to the library, and they look for books with their color. That way they're reading within a framework of where they're going to be successful. Not too low where it's too easy, or too high where they're not going to comprehend it. And then once they finish reading that book, then they take an accelerated reader test on it. And each book has so many points that that book is worth, and then they grow in their points. So each grade level has a certain number of points that the teacher's looking for each trimester. I think like in fourth grade, third or fourth grade, they're looking for about 15 points per trimester, I think 20 in fifth grade. Sixth grade, it starts counting as part of their literature grade. So if you're a junior high parent, please know that that's part of their grade and they need to be reading. In fact, we encourage kids to read about 15 to 20 minutes every night. First grade starts in January. So if you have a first grader, they're not going to start taking those AR tests until January. Everybody else, they're already set up in AR and ready to take tests and to read. In fact, I've seen kids on the computers in their teachers' classes. Teachers give them time in class to take the test. If you want to come before or after school up to the library, they can take tests up there. You just need to make sure that the book that they're reading has an accelerated reading test. And I forgot to bring that information with you, but I believe it's on our website where you can look up the name of the book and it'll tell you if it has a test to it. Okay? So encourage your kids to read every night, 15 to 20 minutes every night, because that's going to develop those reading skills. And then they take those tests, or after they get proficient at a color or a level, a Lexile level, then they'll be promoted to the next level, and they're always looking forward to that. So any questions on AR? Yes?
Can they take the test from home, or does it have to be in a computer?
It has to be at a computer here at school. Yeah.
And those options are in the library, when they go to the library, or before and after school when it opens up. In the classrooms, the teachers will let them go there. And then sometimes, especially if it counts toward their grade and it's getting close to the end of the trimester, they'll make times where a bunch of kids have to take tests. They'll go to the computer lab, and the kids, a bunch of them will take the test at the same time. So,
correct, yeah.
One thing is that kids get older, some of them are reading really high above grade level. It's not uncommon at all. And so their color and their Lexile, and information about what a Lexile is, it's a nationally normed level. On our website, if you go to academics and then go to kind of library services, there's a little video there that explains it. But some kids, it's like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, they could be reading The Count of Monte Cristo, but gosh, there's a lot of fifth grade literature that they should be able to, even though their Lexile's up here, the teachers and the librarian will say, no, it's okay to pick some at your grade level, because there's good literature, award-winning literature there too. So the main thing is, the more you read, better readers you become, better writers you become. And to instill a love of reading is really the goal. Yeah. So that's one of the assessments, and that's part of the program.
Right.
But starting in second grade,
Third grade.
Third grade, we do MAP assessments, and that's the measure of academic progress, okay? This is different than the old SATs we used to do. These are norm referenced, but they have a more direct impact on student learning and instructional differentiation. And so talk to us about the measurement of academic progress.
Progress, right, yes. What that test does, we give it 3 times a year. We give it in the fall. In fact, it'll be coming up in about 2 weeks. And then we give it in January, and we administer it again in, I believe, March or April. So the measurement of academic progress tells us what a student is ready to learn next. Are they ready to start fractions? Are they ready to do long division? They're not ready to do long division if they haven't mastered their multiplication tables, right? So it tells us where they're at. We send those reports home to you in the fall and in the spring. The middle one we kind of use as a where are we? How are the kids progressing? So we keep that one more internal, but you'll get a copy of it in the fall, and you'll get a copy of it in the spring. So what's really exciting about it for me, especially in the area of math, is that it connects with Khan Academy. If you're not familiar with Khan Academy, it's a program that anybody can get on it. It's free, so you guys can get your kids on it right now if you wanted to. But it connects kids with the tests and how they did, and it places them in math lessons where they're at. So if a child has gaps in math, then it will place them and start backfilling those gaps to bring them up to grade level if they work in Khan Academy. If they're excelling, it will also place them where they're excelling, and it will take them and challenge them beyond maybe where their classmates are. And then it helps support the kids right where they're at grade level. So the teachers in grades 3 through 8 connect with that, and then they assign kids to work in Khan Academy about 15 minutes a week, and that helps the kids to continue their growth and their progress in their math skills. The map testing will not connect with the language arts as of yet, but we're looking forward to one day maybe doing that in their reading. But you as a parent, if you chose to get on Khan Academy and assign your kids some things with reading or science or history, you could do that. But the map testing connects directly with the math, which has been really exciting for our teachers and our students. Let me see, did I cover everything? It's good. How many of you have had kids working on Khan Academy at home? Awesome. Have you seen some growth in your child? Yeah, good. It's a good program. Any questions on map testing?
Yeah. So
Go ahead.
You
might explain a little bit about the Khan Academy? I'm not familiar with that.
Khan Academy was created, and I believe the gentleman's name was Khan, okay? And he wanted instruction for students that was free to them. So it's like having tutoring on your computer. So if you wanted your kid to know how to add and subtract fractions, you just go to Khan Academy and you type in adding and subtracting fractions, and it will produce a lesson for you. And the student watches that lesson, and then it will give them sample problems, and then it will give them some practice problems, independent practice problems. And then once they've mastered that, they can go on to the next skill. So it's like having a tutor right there in the classroom with the kid or at home.
So it's more than just the teacher tuning into the kids. There's this extra resource available.
Support,
but,
yes.
But the teachers do use the data
Yes.
to really understand the student. So when you've got a classroom of 25 kids, they know this student needs help here, and they can get very prescriptive. That's what we do when we go to the doctor, right? They run the test. Oh, you need an antibiotic, so they prescribe an antibiotic. When we take the MAP testing, we get a profile of the student's strengths and areas where they can improve, and we can get very prescriptive with it, and the teachers do. And then we do the middle of the year testing again. So we got information, we start teaching to that, and then we say, how we doing? It's like a huddle. It's a checkup. How we doing? Oh, I see progress here, or not as much progress as we'd hoped for. So we zero in, and then we do it again in the spring. How are we doing now? And then at that point, we realize, okay, we see progress, and what's the goals before we end the school year? So it's good little benchmarks along the way.
I think it's a good component too, just to add on, because it interacts with your child. It's not like you're looking at a book and it's just, you're looking at a book. It pulls your child's attention in. So it's worked well for us.
And in the area of math, there's digital resources in our math program where it does the same thing. If you're kind of with your child and they're not getting the math, and then you're trying to help them, but they say that's not how the teacher teaches it, and then you're getting frustrated, there are sample problems that you can watch. Say, oh, okay, I see what they're trying to do. So our math program has that built in. But the Khan Academy allows the teacher, in essence, it becomes an assistant to the teacher to prescribe to the kids exactly where they're at, remedial or advanced, so they can tune in.
And we focus a lot on math here,
Yeah.
but Khan Academy has all subjects in it. So there's language arts, there's grammar, there's science, there's history. So wherever you want to challenge your child in particular, I think they even have some enrichment type things on there also.
So the profile, is that a separate profile from the school, like to set up Khan Academy at home?
Your child can use their online, their login access that we give them, and you can use that at home. So the teacher may be assigning them specific things in class, whether that's directly from MAP or if Mrs. V's teaching, again, I focus on fractions, but come on, how many of us had trouble with fractions when we were learning them? She can give them specific lessons in fractions that they can work on. But if your child is learning fractions and they're still struggling with long division, you can get on there, you can look for long division lessons and reinforce those skills with your child. So you can backtrack if you know what your child needs to be working on, you can backtrack as a parent and fill some of those things in.
And can they do that under student profile? or do
I
they have to
believe
set up
so.
another one?
No, I
Right?
believe they can
Yeah,
do it
that's
under
what I-
their
that's
student
what I was
profile.
thinking too.
Yeah.
My daughter's in 6th grade, and they're required to do 30 minutes at home, and it is under their profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a week, not a night, right? Yeah.
I apologize, you might have said, at what grade level does this start?
Third grade.
grade.
But any child, you can set up your child in kindergarten if you wanted to.
So we set up the profiles for every 3rd through 8th grader
Yes.
in Khan. But if you have a younger age, you can sign up your own and it's free.
But in second grade, like second grade, our second grade teachers are using MobiMax. That's a little bit more user-friendly for the younger kids, so. Any other questions?
In the future, going back to the AR test, is there a way that students can take the test at home? Or is that not in the plan?
Repeat the question.
Can students take the AR tests at home, or in the future would they be allowed to take the AR tests at home? I think the answer is no at this point. One of the reasons is that we do want to monitor and the integrity of the test, and so if they're taking it here at school, and they have ample time, trust me, we let them test anytime they need to, well, unless the teacher's teaching, obviously, but there's ample time here at school.
Yeah, there's ample time, yeah. And here's the thing. During COVID, we noticed that kids' writing ability just skyrocketed. Like, wow, this student is really a prolific writer all of a sudden. And those coaching things are helpful because you're showing them, pick a stronger verb, make sure subject and predicate are matching and different things. And so there's value in it. But to get an authentic assessment was a little tricky during COVID. Yeah. Yes.
Any partnerships that you may have with local libraries? We bring my child here to the library, and then she gets to the point where she's like, I've checked out all the books that I'm interested in, but I want more, but then I can't take the test because you're not from here.
Yeah.
So how does that work? If she picks a book from
We have links to, we have a great relationship with the Glendora Public Library. We're in Glendora. Our school supports the library. I sit on the Friends of the Library Foundation board, and some of the librarians have had their kids. Some of them have graduated through the program. In fact, Kevin over here is on the Friends Foundation board. And so it makes sense that there be a strong partnership there. So librarians will come out, talk to our kids about resources. The Glendora Public Library and Janet Stone, if you're out there listening, just want to say you're doing a great job at their library. The resources they have for families and students are amazing, from homework helps to online, but it's just amazing. And you really should familiarize yourself with it. We start introducing kids to some of the services and what age appropriate, and start making those connections, especially when it comes to research and other resources. And the older they get, the more I think it kicks in. But if you're not familiar with Glendora Public Library, you really should. It's a great resource.
To answer your question, kids can read books from any library, okay? They just need to make sure that there's an AR test that goes along with it.
Sorry, I missed the question.
That's all right.
Okay, all right, we're going to wrap up here in just a few, and then have a little Q&A. But I wanted to, Ms. Wilson, when you get a second, I had you talking about two things, and so Parent U, and then also fan gear. If you want to talk just a little bit about that. I know it's a little early for fan gear, but still.
Yeah, let's talk about fan gear first. We have had some fan gear available to students and even parents to purchase online on our website. But it's been kind of a small selection, great apparel, but we want to revamp it and kind of relaunch our fan gear this year due to the 60th anniversary. We have heard feedback of how can I get that amazing shirt and how can I get that polo, and so parents want to rock our gear too, and we want to encourage that too for you to have access to great apparel from our school with our logos. So we are working on, revamping that, having some options for like more Friday wear for the kids, maybe instead of just that gray field trip shirt. Maybe there's actually a cool shirt that we can design for them to be proud to wear on a Friday. And we're even thinking about making a uniform option for almost like the, different dry fit, polo, maybe that's cooler that they can wear as part of their uniform, maybe with our Falcon F. So we're working on some of these designs, launching maybe a hat option or a water bottle. We want to create a backpack or a duffel bag, especially as they get into junior high sports. So be looking for that. It will be later this year, but just know that that's coming, and so you can kind of be aware of that. Yeah, you had a question about that? Yeah.
PE uniforms.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that you guys could look into, so we can have an actual PE uniform for lower grades, not just for junior.
Yeah, we do have PE uniforms for junior hires. The reason why we don't do it in the younger grade levels is you can imagine having the kids to change, the support they need with that, and the help with one PE teacher and an aide sometimes. You could see how that could have a domino effect of other concerns. We want to have ample time in the PE time for kids to get active. We do encourage them to wear tennis shoes those days, and that helps a ton. And then if girls are wearing skirts, we encourage them to, have shorts underneath or something like that. And I'll tell you this, in the younger grade levels, it's never really been an issue. They are excited to come to PE, and they're doing really fun things, and Coach Mack does an amazing job working with them. So that's kind of the reason why behind all that, there becomes kind of an issue of changing and having ample time for that. So did you have a question too?
I did.
Yeah.
For the parents with the little ones,
Mhm.
is it, for the children on the smaller side of things, is it possible to get a smaller PE shirt or that field trip shirt that's not like a dress on them?
Yeah, I know, when they're really, really small. We do try, any apparel that we select, and we are working with other organizations and companies. Sometimes since COVID, manufacturers even have had limited sizes, limited colors that we want, Pantone. So there's a lot that goes into it. But we try to pick apparel that has access to a lot of different sizes. And so we'll do that moving forward too, especially with fan gear. We're not going to choose something if only a large is available, or we're not going to choose something if only 2 sizes are an option. We're going to try to choose, something that looks nice, worth your money, right? But then also that has multiple sizes. And sure enough, I know it's sad, but they do grow into it eventually. I know and to be honest, I know sometimes it feels like they're swimming, but the TK and kinder kids wearing, it's adorable too. We'll make sure they're not tripping over anything and making sure we'll come alongside them. But I just want you to at least hear that we are trying to make sizes available too. Yeah.
Is the current field trip
Yeah.
shirts not small enough? Or
No,
not?
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think my daughter's the smallest kid in her
Yeah,
class,
yeah.
but it's definitely like
Yeah.
longer than most of her school.
Good to know though. Yeah, good to know.
I made note of that.
Yeah.
Talked to them.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you.
And then Parent U.
Yeah, Parent University is coming. We're actually going to collaborate with Foothill Church. They do a Sunday seminar, so it will be on a Sunday night at 5 p.m. on October 1st. And I really encourage you to come, and what we're going to focus on is there's an organization coming called Protect Young Eyes, and the topic will be creating a safer digital place in your home. And the reason why I recommend this is because we heard feedback from you in our last Parent U about how we can be wise about technology, but you guys were left with, okay, but now what? We know the why, we know the purpose, we know that when we hand our child a device without parental controls, we're handing them the world. Like, we agree with you on those things. But now what do I do? What are some practical steps? What are some solutions? What are some, what guidance can you give me? What's a router? What's hardware? What's software? And so what we love about Protect Young Eyes, and we're still discovering who they are and what they do, but it's practical. You will have actual action steps to take home with you where you can get on your child's device, put the parental controls, even as specific as each app. You can learn some of those softwares and hardwares and why a router might be important in your home. It will be so helpful for you. And I just want to add this. You know, as a community at Foothill, we always say, you know, Foothill's like family, right? And it is kind of our job to partner with you as a school, right? And to come alongside you and your child. But then also amongst each other, I see the value in a night like this where you can have these practical steps for your family to create safe places in your home. Not only are you helping your child, but I really think it helps every child as a family here. Because if I'm helping my boys to make sure they have these parental controls on a device, they might come to school and still hear it from their friends, right? But if we can work alongside each other as family and have some of these things, then their innocence isn't going to be taken at a young age. Or we can grapple with them and have these teachable moments. And so what's neat is they'll also come to our kids the next day, and we'll have some student assemblies with them from TK through 8th. And they'll obviously be split up by grade level on topics that are appropriate to them. For the little kids, we will talk about how technology can be a blast. We know that they have fun on it. But how also that we need to be careful, right? We need to guard our heart. And then in junior high, they'll focus on how junior hires, hey, you matter. And so on social media, like, how do we navigate that? And how do we combat when people bully, or what do we do? And so they'll be talking to the junior hires about some of those things too. So we're really excited about it. There will be childcare provided, but limited space. So this week, you will receive an email more about our Parent University Night. And there will be a link to register. So if you're looking for childcare, get on there right away. Don't delay, because once we do have those spots filled up, we can only, you know, watch so many. But even if you don't get in that time where you register your child, I really recommend still trying to make it work for you to come, because I really think it will be valuable, practical, for you to be prepared, balanced as a family with technology, but then also protected. Okay, so highly recommend it. Yeah.
Almost every issue we have at junior high, especially, even lower, shockingly,
Technology.
surprisingly lower, it's found its roots in social media. And remember I said how schools were shocked. They never would have thought their school would have been the one that was a target of someone with bad intentions. Parents are shocked when they realize some of the things their kids are posting and saying on social media that they didn't even know about. These parental controls, learning about apps that are popular with kids, so you know about them, and what's good, maybe good about them, where some of the cautions are, and how to put monitors on, right? I'll tell you one thing for sure. Nothing good has ever come about, in my opinion, kids having their phones in their bedrooms after 9 o'clock. Weekdays, 7:30, turn it in, maybe 9 o'clock, whatever, turn it in, charge it, and wherever your family says. But we find it all the time. Kids are staying up really late in chat rooms, and nothing good comes of that, I'm telling you. So we all need to be vigilant, all need to be careful. Thank you for the information on that, and that's good. So, and then the 60th anniversary, we have done some annual fund, and we always tie it together. But this year, we've done galas before, we've done kickoff concerts. We're going to do our celebration at Hall Performing Arts Center at Citrus College. And almost every grade level will have a part in the program. And so watch for information. It's going to be November 3rd, thank you. Friday night, it's a half day at school. And so some of our orchestra will have a place, our choir will have a place, our thespians and theater group will have some. Kids in every grade level will have an opportunity, especially K through third. And so watch for information on that. The teachers and our music teacher are starting to work toward that end. So November 3rd, Friday night, and tickets will be on sale through the Performing Arts Center. So just watch for information on that. It's gonna be a great celebration. So we hope you'll plug into that. Okay, well, that concludes our time. We went a little longer and less for Q&A, so I'm going to say goodbye to people online, but I am open for a few more minutes of Q&A if you want to stay, if you have something you want to ask. Otherwise, you're free to go. Yeah. Yes?
So, sorry, random question. I know that you guys used to have a cheer program here.
Oh, Miss Wilson, cheer program, come up here. This is the insights part.
I know, sorry, we did. Yes, we are working to launch a cheer program this year. Because we haven't had it in the last few years since really COVID, and we actually used to have a really great coach. And it's hard to find that right person because it is a year-round, opportunity. But we feel like we're working towards strides, and we have some good coaches that are going to launch cheer for us this year. Because we haven't done it in a few years, we are going to start small. So we are going to, thanks.
Yeah.
For cheer, we are going to start small, and we are going to offer it to first junior high just to get the program going, a spirit squad, and we'll work our way to the tumbling and all those things. But for their first go at it, we're going to keep it as like a spirit squad, and they'll cheer at some of our home games. So it might be fun if you have a younger sibling that kind of see what that's about. And then the following year, we're hoping to bring that down to some younger grade levels also, so that they also have opportunity for a spirit squad. And we're working hard on it because I've been at recess with the 3rd through 5th grade group, and they want to show me cheers that they've put together that they've seen at like Glendora High School. So we are working on it. We are going to launch it this year, and we're hoping by next year we'll offer it for more grade levels. So
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you. And thank you, dads, for coming out. We don't always get dads at these, so it's really nice to see some dads. Yeah, appreciate it. Get your pen and your lapel pen.